Is the most spiritual path really about disconnecting from the chaos in the world? Or is our greatest gift the ability to walk into the darkness with our light still shining? That light of truth, that light of hope, and that light of love. I want to discuss this deeply with you in this video because in this time of so much uncertainty, where in a certain sense as humanity we are awakening, but it's requiring us to go deep into the darkness, we have to know how to navigate this darkness, what to do about this darkness. Now, I'm not one that usually watches the news. For the last almost 15 years, after I was so deep in conspiracies, when I was, in the last years of high school, when I started college, I was so deep into all these conspiracies and learning stuff. And the energy was just so heavy that I just at some point realized that I needed to disconnect completely from that for my own well being. And in fact, it was absolutely what I needed. But for some reason, in the last 6 months, maybe 8 months actually, I felt this pull, this call to go deep into learning about what is going on in the collective. In other words, what's going on Earth. Geopolitics, history, war, genocide, division, outrage, conspiracies, these are words that represent the energy that for so many on the earth right now is the reality. We are living in a time of great uncertainty where so much is falling apart, where all these old structures are showing the cracks in the walls of their foundations, where there is so much information and collective fear that is feeding into the psyche of so many in our collective. And I believe that as a person that is walking a spiritual path, we must ask ourselves what is the healthiest way to navigate this reality, but how do we navigate this reality in service of the collective that we say we are here to support, as we recognize on the spiritual path that we are one with that collective? Something really powerful happened in me this week where through the last months and months of study and learning and watching and reading, I was learning about all these atrocities that are going on in the world, but there was just such calm and trust and faith inside of my body where, of course, I was moved at realizing so many things that are going on. And I felt this rebellious passion move through me, but there was this sense of like peace with all of it. And this week, something shifted. This week, things happened, and there's no need for me right now to go into the details of what I'm speaking about, but this week, big things happened on the planet that shifted and brought a new energy into our collective field. And I really, really felt it. I felt grief. I felt fear. I felt this desire to be protected by something, like the desire for like this father figure to come and hold me, not as in my father's amazing, but as in like some spiritual God to come tell me everything is okay. There was such a deep sadness in my stomach and in my throat, and I was like, why am I feeling this way? And so I realized that, of course, it happened because I learned about things that happened in our collective and it really affected me. But it hadn't really affected me before. And that's why I could continue doing it, because as soon as something takes me out of my peace, I always on this path start to ask myself, do I need to disconnect from this? Do I need to create boundaries with this? Because I do believe that our inner state of clarity and presence and being in that state of love is absolutely essential. And so all of a sudden, moving through this grief and this anger that I understand and recognize was me deeply tuning into these energies in the collective and what's going on the earth. I started to ask, is this the right path? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is the most spiritual thing actually for me to disconnect again? Is this actually me going backwards? Frequency going lower because I'm suddenly tuning into all these things that are happening around the earth. And so I'm deeply grateful that I went on this inner journey of exploration of, is this the most spiritual thing for me to do or not? Because in this questioning, I discovered and felt the need to share these important pieces of wisdom, these important messages. About 3 years ago, I had a very deep spiritual experience where I was basically shown all this suffering and all this pain that is going on earth. And it was so intense and it made no sense and it was so dark that I didn't understand why I was shown that. And for context, before that, I was living in a spiritual bubble, spiritual, joyful, happy bubble. And today, and not just today, over the last years, it's been unfolding, and today I begin to understand why I was shown all of that. Some people on the spiritual path, a lot of people on the spiritual path that feel this calling in their soul, that they're here to evolve, to grow, to heal, to support, to serve, feel that the best thing to do, or think that the best thing to do, is to actually disconnect. To disconnect from society, to disconnect completely from what's going on around them, to create this safe bubble where everything is aligned with love, where everything is light, where everything is good, not looking into the darkness. There's this hyper attachment, this gripping, this holding on to all things love and light and high frequency. And from a very surface level, this seems like the most spiritual thing to do because, of course, when you are on this path, you realize everything is energy. Everything that I manifest in my life is energy and is a reflection of me. And so the most important thing is for me to always be in love and light so that I can only create beautiful things for myself, right? But we have to start asking ourselves, are they choosing? Are we choosing? Are the people that choose love and light and only love and light choosing that in fact out of love? Or are they choosing that out of fear? Is the energy that is dictating their decisions actually the energy of fear? The fear that if they look at the darkness, they might find and see and feel something that they don't want to look at, something uncomfortable, something painful, something difficult that will require that they expand into a new perception of what life is. Because in fact, reality, it's multidimensional. There's so many things going on. But it's not all love and light. In our own lives, it's not all love and light. Even if we meditate 3 hours every single day and we grip on to that feeling of love in our hearts, we can't control that sometimes bad things happen to ourselves, to the people that we love, and by extension, from a collective perspective, to groups of people around the world. So is it not true then that a person that is hyper attached to all things love and light and is unwilling, even if they don't realize it, to look at the totality of reality, which includes the darkness, actually manifesting the energy of disconnection, the energy of division, where darkness equals low frequency, where light equals high frequency, where low frequency equals less evolved and high frequency equals more evolved. It's this crazy thing where you're on a path to heal and to grow and to fill yourself with love, and yet that path takes you to a space where you judge, where you disconnect, where you divide, and most importantly, where you're in denial of the truth. The truth that even if you choose the timeline where we ascend and we grow and we evolve, and this is our awakening, which I believe that it is, and I know I'm on that timeline. But even if we choose that timeline where the reality of today is that the world is full, so many people are going through suffering, chaos. In your own life, in your own path, is it not those moments where something really bad happens, where you lose somebody or you lose a job or something unexpected happens and it pulls you into this state of grief? Isn't it then that you awaken the most? The reason I say that is because in the same way, the earth and us as a collective extension of the earth is going through that same process, where in order to heal, we must see, where in order to transform, we must become aware of that which we are transforming. So this discussion is not about me saying, hey, you have to watch the news now. You have to be worried about the state of the world. You have to be hyper connected to all the things that are going on the planet, or else you're not very spiritual. That is not what I am saying. But what I am saying is that if the reason you're not doing that is because you are in denial about the truth of what's going on, then maybe that is something that we must look at. Now, I want to ask you, what if there are people that you love? What if your loved ones are still plugged into the matrix? How do we support them if we live in a bubble of love and light where nothing bad is happening? It's all an illusion. And an even more important question that I want to ask, maybe not you, but us as a collective spiritual community, is if you are a light worker and you came to help the evolution of our planet, but you are disconnected from empathy to your fellow human beings that are suffering, then what work are you actually doing? In other words, what benefit does it have to bring a light, to bring a candle into an already lit room versus a candle in a dark room? That's a very important question. As I've been moving through all of these emotions that have come up because of my hyper awareness of all these things that are going on the earth, I've started to ask myself, is me tuning into all this information me actually disconnecting, me actually falling into the lower dark frequencies? And though for some, in some situations, that may be true for me right now, I actually realized that this has been an essential process of my learning so that I can too remember again in a deeper, renewed way what I and many of us came here to do. I believe this conversation is important because we have a greater mission, a more important mission, a bigger offering that we can give our loved ones. our communities, the collective and the very earth that gave us this experience and this opportunity to be human. For I believe that the true work of a light worker is that of a transmuter, to alchemize darkness into light. And in order for us to alchemize darkness into light, we cannot be in denial of its existence. And we cannot cling on to these illusory spiritual bubbles where everything is good and everything is positive. For to hold the energy of love, hope, and truth, where that's all you see is nothing compared to holding those frequencies when there is chaos, uncertainty, and darkness around us. And that is why our mission is so important. That is what I believe is so needed right now. The role of the light bearer, the role of the alchemical transmuter, of the guardian of light. Someone who doesn't deny the darkness that might sometimes get lost in it, but somebody that actually transforms it and turns it into wisdom, love, and clarity for ourselves first and foremost, but as an extension for those around us. So if you are listening to this message, maybe you realize and you hear it and you say, wow, okay, maybe I've been in denial. Or maybe you listen to this message and you say, I've been so aware of what's going on and I haven't known what to do with this energy. I've been feeling this heaviness in my heart and this confusion, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. I want this message to be for you, that your power is not in not feeling the heaviness. Your power is not in not feeling the grief or the anger or the frustration or feeling scared sometimes or feeling confused. For it's actually absolutely essential for you to move through those emotions so that you can find the light and the wisdom within them, so that they can actually become your greatest teachers and actually become the gifts that turn you into a wiser, stronger, more resilient, more connected human being. We have to remember that being aware of what's going on around us in a collective sense and feeling the emotions of the collective doesn't make us weaker, and it doesn't mean that we're going backwards, that we're devolving or the devolving, if that's even a word, or nor is it a sign of low frequency. It's the work that we came here to do, and in fact, those are the people that we came here to support and to awaken. Those that are lost, those that are confused, those that are scared. And so in this big mission that requires so much of us, it is absolutely essential that you take care of your energetic, emotional, mental, spiritual health, your energetic space, practicing very great energetic hygiene. And for that, there is a balance to be found. On the one hand, not getting lost in the darkness and the fear, not allowing it to rule you, but also not allowing that idea of energetic hygiene to turn into disconnection and to pretending that nothing is happening. And so in that balance, one way that I find really helps and supports is making sure that every single day you spend some time without any external input. Not watching something, not listening to something, not hearing anything, not knowing what's going on for a certain amount of time. 30 minutes, an hour, being with yourself, whether it's taking a walk or meditating or whatever, but you're not receiving input, because in those short spurts of disconnection, you reconnect to yourself, to your presence, to that feeling of safety that isn't actually something that you can ever get from the outside, but is actually something that blossoms from within, that is cultivated from within. If our mission as light workers is not to deny the darkness, but to transmute it, to be able to walk through it, holding the light, how do we do it? That is something that we have to ask ourselves. And though that is a deeper conversation for another video, the most important key to maintaining that sovereignty and that frequency of light within you in the darkness is to remain always connected to yourself, and as an extension, or because of that, being connected to your soul and to the unity of all. So to close, I want to say you are so needed in this world. The work that you do is so important. I want to remind you that disconnection and denial is never the answer, that you are more powerful than fear, that you can feel safe within uncertainty, and that in fact that is what you came here to do. That there's nothing wrong with learning about what's going on in the world. And in fact, there's so much that you can learn about humanity by doing so. There's so much you can learn about the way that manipulation, control, domination, hatred, and division happens, which can be dark and heavy sometimes, but that in fact for a light worker can be incredibly valid and important information, as it allows us to understand that which we came here to change, and it allows us to connect on a deeper level to those that we came here to support and to awaken. So follow your heart, as your heart is what will tell you always what is right for you. And I just want to remind you that when you hold the light, the frequency of light in you, of love within you, of hope, of truth within you, you shift not only your own experience on earth, but you also share that frequency with the collective field. And in fact, that is what we came here to do. So I hope that if you're still here, you leave with a remembrance of who you are and what you came here to do, a greater, deeper one. I want to invite you to share this video with somebody that needs to hear it. I think these messages are absolutely essential in these times. If you'd like to dive deeper with me and explore my offerings, look at the links in the description below. And this is a brand new channel. So if you like it, if you resonated, please subscribe. I'll see you soon.